Hi, thank you for joining us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and cover other important aspects of being self-employed and running your small business. So today I'm going to talk about how to track your income and your expenditure. Before I do, if I could just ask you to take a moment to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you will easily be able to refer back to this information if you need to, as well as being able to find other information that we have available on a whole wide range of topics, all aimed at supporting you in running a successful small business and in your self-employment. Of course, if you want to be notified when we upload new videos, then you should also turn on the notifications, and you will find everything catalogued in our playlist to try and narrow down the information that's really going to be relevant to your situation. So back then to tracking income and expenditure, and we have previously talked about this in one way or another, but it's a little bit like a lot of things and a lot of jargon. I might be talking about bookkeeping or record keeping, and it may not, especially if this is something that's new to you, be initially evident that I'm talking about the thing that you're looking for. So we're very happy to explain things in different ways, because after all, that is the whole reason that we're here, to support you and help you understand what you need to be doing in order to keep your records accurate, to produce your tax returns, various tax returns in an accurate and timely way. So it is important to accurately track your income and expenditure. So ultimately your income and your expenditure for your from your self-employment are going to they're going to be used to calculate your profit. So that is the income that you have less the expenditure that you incur. What's left is your profit, and that will largely then be used to calculate your income tax liability, as well as liability for some national insurances. So it is really, really important. You can see that the end result is going to be the amount that you pay, and it's really important. Of course, you don't want to be paying too much liability because you didn't keep an accurate record, and on the same vein, you don't want to be paying too little liability, which could cause you significant problems in the future when it comes to light that's happened. So if we work back, it's easy then to see that in order to have accurate liabilities, we need to have accurate records of income and expenditure. So anybody that is VAT registered already will already be mandated to comply with Making Tax Digital, and everybody with a turnover over 10,000 as a sole trader will soon have to comply as well. So it's likely that you're already at least starting to think about Making Tax Digital software, and that is a great way of ensuring that you record your income and expenditure, and that nothing is missed from those records. So with your income, all of your invoicing can then be done through the software, or depending on what type of business you're operating, all of your sales receipts accurately recorded through the bank feed, for example. On the expenditure, again, you'll have the option to be able to log all of your purchase invoices, or categorize the payments that have gone out of the bank. And this is really important because it means that effectively you're making sure, so in the same way as when we talked in a different video about reconciling the bank account in your software to the statements, we're just making sure that everything is included. So of course, if we're using a bank feed through Making Tax Digital software, then that's fine. But of course, some things may not go through the bank account. So it's important to make sure that you have a system to make sure that they do also get logged into your software. So then if you don't yet use Making Tax Digital software, perhaps you're using a spreadsheet, for example, then you still need to have a system to make sure that all of your income and all of your expenditure are logged. So this may be cross-referencing your spreadsheet records to your bank account. And of course, if you then have personal transactions through the business account as well, again, you can see how the further away we move away from a process which allows a streamlined and an easy to reconcile scenario, the more chances there are of things getting missed. And the thing to think about is if you forget to claim, for example, some allowable expenditure and you are over your personal allowance for tax and therefore paying class 4 national insurance as well, if you think just losing an invoice for £100 of net expenses would actually mean that you would pay £29 in tax and class 4 national insurance, more than you would actually need to. So when you actually try to think about and put it into your specific scenario of exactly the cost to you, then you can start to decide whether finding that invoice or missing receipt is a valuable amount of your time. So you may think, so in that scenario, perhaps that invoice is just in your car or your work van. It's just going to take you 5 minutes to go and bring that out of where it is. Then that you may consider that time is worthwhile. If you had lost a receipt or an invoice that was just for £10, but you were going to have to actually go back to the place that you made the purchase from and wait for a copy, and that was going to take you perhaps an hour of your time, then in that scenario you may think that the amount it would be more cost effective for you to not claim that and not reduce your liability in that way. Now, so the more transactions that you have going through your bank account, the easier it is to be sure that nothing's missed. But when we move away from the bank, perhaps using cash or personal bank accounts for expenditure, then this can get harder to make sure and to be confident that everything is included. So of course, if you're missing expenditure and you're not claiming as a business and allow business expenses, things that you are legitimately allowed to claim, then you should be claiming those, of course. So then the consequence is overpaying your liability, because as we talked about at the start, your profit will be the starting point for determining a lot of your income tax liabilities. And of course, for VAT, it will be the records will also be used for determining your VAT liability. So it works the same, that if you're not keeping your accurate records, it means you may not be claiming things that are allowable and therefore paying more VAT than you actually need to be doing. But then we also have to think about, from the sales side, if, for example, some of your sales are paid in cash, if they're not included in the in the accounts, then you're going to be understating your liability. And this could this isn't just about then not claiming things that you should do. This is about potentially them being in an underpaid liability situation, but also potentially facing penalties, because just because you're disorganized, and that's why you're not stating things correctly, it still is the fact that you're understating things. So there is a little bit of confusion that, you know, if you're accepting payment in cash, that's absolutely fine. Your customer can pay you with cash. If you're not in a business that's issuing invoices per transaction, then you just need to make sure that you have a foolproof system to make sure that all of those cash sales are logged, and nothing escapes that. So hopefully that gives you a little overview on firstly the purpose, why we're recording our income and our expenditure, and the consequences, and what actually comes further down the line from those records, as well as being able to identify areas where perhaps things could be missed, and you then just need to have a system in place that means that that doesn't happen, and that nothing is missed, and that your records, once they're complete, are an accurate representation of the income that you've had as a sole trader, and the expenses that you have incurred. And of course, if you find that it's a little bit overwhelming for you to be able to record your income and expenditure, then that perhaps is time to think about engaging some professional support and somebody to help you with that. Although, of course, if it's just a case that you just don't really want to spend the time to find the records, then they are still going to need the records. So you need to consider that too. And of course, if you are going to engage any professional help to help you, please make sure that the person is qualified to help you with what you're asking them to, that they're a member of a professional body, and that they are insured. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this has been helpful. If it has, if you found it interesting, please do take a moment to like the video, and that helps us to understand what content people are finding the most helpful, and we can focus our priorities on responding to the questions that really are helping you and supporting you in your self-employment. Thank you. Goodbye.